Hello everybody, it's me, Charles Norman from Sports Solutions LLC, and we are the creators of AthleticSOS. It's a software product that if your kid is trying to get an athletic scholarship, we will show them all of the schools they academically qualify to attend that offer their athletic scholarship in their sport and at the level that they think they want to play, and then we show them that list, and then they can start going through that list and seeing which schools they're interested in. And our goal here at AthleticSOS is for your kid to go to the school that fits them. And so don't wait to get discovered. What you want to do is let those schools know that you're interested in them and that you're qualified to go to those schools, and then they will come out and see you, and now you've got a perfect fit. And so that's what we're kind of trying to do here. So in this one, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to talk about what I would do this summer leading into 2023. So we're out of school. High school's over right now. I just saw the graduations. The kids are out right now. And so now everybody's getting ready to go into what they're going to do this summer to get prepared for playing in the new fall year coming up. So September 1st of 2023, everything's about to change as far as the NCAA is concerned, right? All of the things that were happening during the pandemic, some of the, you could take online classes. They didn't require the SAT, ACT. They were really kind of loosey-goosey on what it qualified for, what qualified you to be able to play your first year at the collegiate level, which means you will probably get an offer for an athletic scholarship, because if you didn't qualify, they're not going to offer you a scholarship, right? So, or you couldn't even get one, which means you were going to have to come out of pocket. A lot of things have changed. I've gone over that last week's video. I'll go over it again once we get a little bit closer to the school year. But this one, I just want to talk about what I would do. So this is going to be really clear here. One of the things I always tell you guys is don't just rely on somebody else, including myself, on what you should be doing. You should have a plan for yourself. I'm just going to tell you what I would do if it's my kid at this point in time. Remember, I created this software because I almost blew it for my kid. I wasn't quite sure what steps made the most sense as far as making sure that they got the exposure required to get an athletic scholarship offer. I don't know what I thought should happen, but it was not what I thought it was. And the funny thing is about this whole scenario is there's so many people in your ear. You know, you got the travel club coach telling you, hey, you need to come play with us. You got the high school coach saying, hey, we're going to go do some stuff this year. I really want your kid, especially if your kid's good enough to play at the collegiate level, we want your kid to come and play with the kids that are going to be playing with them next year, so they can kind of mesh and we kind of get all this thing, you know, feeling good. And then you've got people talking about training. You should go to this camp. You should go to that camp. Should I go to the one of the colleges that we're interested in? Should I go to their camp? Should I go one of the celebrity, the professional basketball players? They've got a camp in our area. Should I go there? What should I be doing? How do I manage this thing in a way where it makes the most sense? So that's what I want to do. I want to tell you what I would do at this point. I've got a kid that's pretty good. I think they have a chance to play at the next level. And then we're going to talk about all the way from somebody's going into their senior year, a sophomore that's going into their junior year, a freshman going into their sophomore year, and then we're going to talk about an 8th grader going into their first year of high school, what I believe I would be doing if I was doing it at this point in time. And then the other thing is, it's really important for us. One of the things we're trying to do with the kids that are using AthleticSOS, and we keep talking about this, is I want these kids to start thinking beyond the next few years. I want them thinking 10-year increments, and I'm not going to go really longer than that. I've done it in some of my previous videos, but I want to know where they're going to be in case they're lucky enough. They've gone through high school, they've done well there, they've got an athletic scholarship, they've done well there, and then where are you 2 years after that? And then we're going to do another 10-year lookout, because what I want is for our kids, the kids that go through AthleticSOS, I want them to get set up to have just a remarkable life. And then I want them to be able to turn around and come back and help other people have a really great life too, a really good life. I don't know if everybody's set for that, but I want our kids to be the leaders moving forward. And I want them to be able to enjoy moving forward. I hear a lot of people, a lot of negative stuff. We can't do this, we can't do that. I think if you can put yourself in position that you can get prepared and you think about it, these kids have a special opportunity because they have a skill set, and we're going to leverage that skill set to end up having a great life. So we'll talk about more about that stuff later. So let's get into this a little bit. Oh, and then the final thing for me is I'm anti-debt on everything. And everybody always asks me, why are you so, talk so much about debt? Do you think college is a bad idea or not? No, I don't think college is a bad idea. The reason I'm so anti-debt is that I didn't pay attention to this as much, but in 2008, we had a debt level because we were trying to do the best for our family and our kids. So we had some debt. And then you guys remember the last economic downturn, That was devastating. That was the first time in my life there was a situation where I worked, and I worked for the government, that we were put on furloughs. And so we lost 2 checks, 2 days a month we didn't get paid for. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot. I had a check coming in and people had it a lot worse. I understand that. But that's when I realized how close to the edge you are. How all of your credit that you thought you had, things that you thought you had room for, you could move around, they were just taken away. Nobody said anything. Nobody apologized for anything. When they put us on furlough, it wasn't, do you want to do it or you don't want to do it? It just happens. And I realized for the first time how little control you have over your life. And if you don't have debt though, and we didn't have a lot, but I know people up here that lost their homes. We didn't have a lot, but I saw people just completely lose everything because everybody's so leveraged. And then one of the big ones is that student loan debt, because you can't get out of student loan debt. And that was eye-opening for me. And so when my daughter was getting ready to go to college, and even with my son, I made him go JC first, right? And then he finished his 2 years of JC, and then we went ahead and helped him pay for the last 2 years of school. And then one of the ways we did with him, because he didn't get an athletic scholarship, he didn't get a scholarship of any kind, but we made him go to one of the Cal State schools, which are great schools, but we were trying to limit his debt. Now, if you have an opportunity to go one of the best schools in the country, and all things being equal, you're trying to be an attorney or you're trying to be a doctor and all that sort of stuff, okay, you may have a great argument for taking on that debt, but I don't see a reason to take so much debt on if there's other ways to do it. One of the things I find about with adults is we're more worried about the perception other people feel about us and our kid and our family and all that kind of stuff than we are about the practicalities. Don't let other people fool you into thinking they got everything under control, because most people are 1 or 2 situations or incidents away from being in a lot of trouble too. But everybody puts on airs. Everybody acts like they got all this stuff under control. I started this business after I retired. And let me tell you, most people are not all doing all of that. They don't have that much going on. It took me a little while to get it. I go, well, wait a minute, they gave me this business card, they're senior vice president of this, or they own this bit. Everybody's not got it like you think they do. So don't try to compare yourself to what you perceive other people to be doing. If you're not in their pocketbook, you're not looking at their books, and you don't know what they're doing, you don't have a clue. Most people are living right close to the edge of destruction here. So anyway, so let's get out of all that. So let's talk about it. If I have a 8th grader that is going to be going into high school, right? They're going into summer and they're going to be going into high school. This one's kind of easy for me. You have to go with your high school. And if your high school offers that sport, now if your high school doesn't offer that sport, let's say you're into rowing or rodeo or bowling or something that the high school doesn't offer, then you go ahead and do what you were doing before. You need to be a part of a club or a group or an organization that can help you elevate. But if your sport is offered at the high school, let's say you play basketball, right, or volleyball or something like that. If they are having a summer program, you want to go to that summer program, because what we're trying to do is we're looking forward, right? We're thinking ahead, thinking beyond. Who's going to make the decision on what team you're going to land on, or if you're going to make any of the teams, right? You might just be going trying to get the frost off. You might be, maybe you're a really, really great player, right? And you can make varsity. That would be fantastic. My daughter was able to do that as a freshman. She made varsity. Now it was girls basketball, so that was a little bit different. There weren't a bunch of girls going to her school, and there was a better high school, more established high school. Her school had only been open a few years that she ended up going to because it was closer to our home, but there was another high school in our district that she could have gone to that had a history of really great girls basketball program. And so a lot of the girls went over there also. So she went to her school to, and in my opinion, she was going to establish, which my wife at the time was telling me that probably was one of my big mistakes, right? I should have just sent her to the better school, supposedly better coaching, all of that. But it worked out for her. So I did end up in a good place, because what ended up happening for us is that the coach that came to coach that girls basketball team at her new school happened to have been a coach at the junior college level for years, right? So it actually ended up becoming what made me do AthleticSOS. What he taught me there to help her get an athletic scholarship is what I took and digitized and made it available for you guys. So it all turns out fine, right? But anyway, so if you're going into your freshman year, I say you go with your high school team. Now, if your high school team is not going to participate in any games, they're not going to do a little league. They're not going to go and do a little bit of small time travel, local travel against other high schools and stuff like that for the summer. Then I would say you have to go get on the travel club program. But that's the only reason you would do that. But what you do want to do, no matter what sport you play, even if it's a sport that's not at your school, if they have a weightlifting program during the summer, you want to go do that. Because they're going to have, one of the good things about high school is a lot of times the coaches that are there, the trainers that are there actually know what they're doing, because you don't just get to do that at those schools. You have to have some sort of credentials and some schooling for it. So go there and start to lift weights. One of the big differences between getting on varsity and making frost soft or JV or whatever level is the size and the strength of the kids that are participating at that other level. You have to get stronger, and you don't have to do that so much in junior high school. You can work off your skill set, right? But when you get to high school, you need to get some strength on you to be able to go into that season and to be able to play. The other thing you get to do is, if you're trying to play a sport, usually some of the varsity kids will come in and work out too, and you can watch how they work out, especially the stars of the team. How do they work out? What is their dedication? What are they doing? And you want to get around them. You want to kind of absorb some of that. You want them to see you. And so that's what I recommend for the kid that's coming in. They're in 8th grade or junior high, and they're coming in. If you want to do any kind of travel club, you can, but make sure you stay local. There is no reason to travel across the country and spend a bunch of money. Most of the college coaches will learn about you as you move through your high school career. They don't know too much about you as a freshman. This is for a majority of the kids, especially somebody that may not be playing D1 at the collegiate level. You don't need to do that in your freshman year, in my opinion. The next thing I would do, though, as one of those kids, I would start looking for a trainer. And so one of the things you might want to do is look at some of the travel club team programs around that you might be interested in going to. And then I would say, hey, look at the coaches there, maybe go out, see what they're doing, and say, hey, do any of you coaches do private coaching? And if they do, you can do that, right? So just get a private coach. And what you're trying to do is look at, one of the things you should have been doing is going to your high school, your local high school, and seeing how they play. What do they do? What kind of, where do you see yourself fitting in at that school at the varsity level? You want to watch the varsity level, and where would I play here, and what kind of style do they play, and all that. And you want to start getting yourself in position to be able to play varsity at the position that you're going to do. You want to train for that, and then we'll talk about what we do after that. So that's for you for the 8th grader. Now, if you play, you're a freshman, right? You just came out of the 9th grade. You're going to 10th grade in September, and so you played frost soft, or maybe you got lucky enough and you played JV. Again, if you're a freshman, I think you want to go ahead and do as much as you can with your high schools, but now might be the time you start looking for travel club programs and maybe some camps to go to. And so what you're trying to do now is you're trying to get yourself out in the world, because the number one thing moving forward, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be exposure. You're going to have some exposure, and you're going to have some social proof about who you are and what you're doing. So you're going to have some stuff on film. And so the way I would do this is, again, I would look for a travel club program that's not going to put you on the bottom team. Now, one of the things I see with the larger programs is they'll have a top team, they'll have a next tier team, which is sort of the kids that are up and coming, right? Your sophomores and juniors that are going to play on their top team coming into maybe the next year or two. And then they have their top team. And then they have these other teams, 3 or 4 teams, and I call these the money hubs, right? These are the kids that probably won't play at the collegiate level, but they want to participate, and they're paying a bunch of money to be able to get some games that are organized so they can play, which is fine. But if you can't make one of those teams as a sophomore and you're trying to get an athletic scholarship, I would say you try to go to a lesser team where maybe they can take you on one of the higher level teams, and then you can go around, because what we're trying to do now is we want to play against college level players. And I think this is really important, especially in your sophomore, and if you're a sophomore going in your junior year, you've got to play against kids so you can see the difference, the speed, the experience, the savvy of those kids that are playing at the higher level, especially at the varsity level, which they obviously have to, because you got to get to varsity. No college coach is giving you a scholarship offer if you haven't played varsity. But you want to get around kids not in your purview, not at your school, not just local, but you want to see what's going on around the country. Now, I would say in this case, if I'm going from sophomore to my junior year, I want to stay in my region. I don't necessarily need to go out of my region, because one of the things you're trying to do now is you're trying to get college coaches around that can see you, that you're in their region, because this is where they recruit from, right? They stay in their sort of area. So, you know, north, south, east, west type situation. And I don't think you need to go any further than that moving forward. And you also want to try to participate as much as possible with your high school coach, especially if you didn't play varsity the previous year. You want them to see you as a varsity. Now, a lot of times your head coach won't be there for various reasons. Sometimes they do travel club or whatever they're doing. But you want their assistant coaches to go, hey, you know, Charles is looking pretty good this year, grown a little bit, got a little stronger. We might want to look at pulling him all the way up. So those are kind of things, or if it's a girl, same thing, right? So you're just trying to get in their ear and let them know that you're here to work out, and definitely get in the weight program again. It's really important for you to stay in that weight program. Now, a lot of people ask me about, what if there's a particular college I'm looking for and I'm interested in going to that college? Should I go to their camp? And I don't say yes or no to that, because you're going to get the same thing. If it's a really good school, you're going to see the kids that they're looking at, because the kids that they're interested in, they've kind of gave them a wink and a nod to come to their camp also, because they want to take a better look at them and all that. Now, I personally think the only thing you can do at one of these camps is mess yourself up. If a school is really interested in you, they're going to come watch you play at your high school. They're going to watch if you're a travel club program. They're going to send somebody to be able to see you. And so they're going to see you at your best, because you've worked out with your travel club program and you've worked out with your high school. You know the plays, you know where to be and what to do. When you go to the camp, it's sort of just a camp, right? And they can see you, and they're going to pull you over to the better area, and maybe sometimes some of the kids from the college will be there to run with you guys. And it's a good look. If you're familiar with them and what they've done, you've gone to their camps as little kids, you kind of know how they do things. But if you're going in blind, something go wrong. You could twist your ankle, you could hurt yourself, something could be where you're not at your best. And I don't know if that's the situation you want to put yourself in, but I say, you know, do whatever you want to do. Now, what I would look for is a camp where they go over understanding the game and not just playing the game. So you're not just getting skill development, but you're getting a better understanding of the sport that you're playing, how to leverage things, what you should be looking for, what's going on there. I think if you can find a camp like that, that's what I would go to if I was going to do it. But this is going to start getting expensive. You try to go travel club, you try to go to the camp, and even now the high schools now, you got to spend a lot of money. So you're going to have to pick and choose what you're trying to do. And then I wouldn't make such a big deal for my sophomore or junior year of finding a trainer to work individually on. I would kind of get some group training, or if I'm going to play travel club, then I'm just going to let whoever's there, and I'm going to find one of those coaches there and say, hey, if I need a little bit of extra training, can you help me out? Can you work with me a little bit more, and maybe pay a little bit more on top of what you're already paying for the travel club? So that's how I would handle that year, that sophomore, junior, because you're trying to get to varsity as soon as possible, right? And if you play frost soft, at the very least, you want to move to JV, especially if you're a freshman, you want to try to get to JV. But there's only so much room on these teams, so you got to understand that just by your senior year, you need to be playing varsity. That's the bottom line. If you can get there earlier, more better. But if you don't worry about it. Don't get all bent out of shape because your friends made it or somebody else made it. Remember, you're growing into your body. You're growing into your ability to play. You don't know when the blossom is going to happen for you. So just be patient with yourself. Don't get bent out of shape. Okay, so let's go from junior to you're going into your senior year. You got to make this varsity team now. So the pressure's on you. If you're already on varsity, cool. You want to become a starter if you can, because that's our transition, right? That's what we're trying to get to. Now, this is the most important summer to me that you're going to have. It's all about exposure. And this is the beauty of AthleticSOS, and one of the reasons I created it. Now, if you've been doing what we've been telling you to do in your freshman year, your sophomore year, you've now got a list of schools or colleges that you're really interested in going to. You know you're academically qualified to go there. You've been paying attention to them. You know they have your major. You know they're in the area you kind of want to be. The ambiance of the school, is it rural? Is it urban? Is it, suburban? Whatever it is that you see about that school, it feels good to you. So you now want to get to that school. So you want to let them know where you're going to be and your entire schedule. You definitely want to play travel club program. And if your high school coach is giving you a hard time about that, they're not on your side. You got to figure out, you got to let them know, hey, look, this is what I'm trying to do. You're going to need their help at some point. Every college coach I know says that they call your high school coach to find out more about you as a person on that team. Are you a leader? Those types of things. So you don't want to, just tell your coach, no, I'm going to do what I want to do. You want to say, hey, here's the situation. Here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get an athletic scholarship. I'm going to need your help at some point too, but I want to go out and do some of these other things so I can get some exposure. Is that okay? What can I do to come back here to help out with what you're doing? I know one of the big things my daughter did going into her senior year, she came and worked at the high school camp, and then so she helped out, and then she worked with the Frost Soft kids to help them during some of their practices and stuff. So she went up there and gave back. And that's a really important piece of what you need to do. You want those coaches to be thinking highly of you, because they're going to be the ones on the phone to make or break you and another kid that college coach is looking at. When your coach has got glowing reports on you, every high school coach knows if you're the star of their team, they're going to hold you back a little bit because they need you to do more. They may play you out of position. They may ask you to sacrifice some of your abilities to help get the whole team to work good together. All of that stuff is true. So they will say that on the phone. They will appreciate that, and that's what you want. You want that coach appreciating you. Okay, and so now if we're going to do travel club, this is where I think you can do the nationwide. So look at the schools that you want to try to go to. You've already probably, if you're really good at this point and you've played varsity before, you probably have some letters in your mailbox already about schools that are interested in you. Don't get too carried away with those letters. They send these letters out at first, and then they start sending more and more and more out, and you feel like they're coming for you and they really want you. They're sending those to a group of people. They've got a list of maybe 10 kids. And what you don't know, and you never will know this unless you ask directly, am I number 1, number 2, number 3 on your list, or number 8, number 9? They're not going to get to number 8 and number 9. If they get number 1 or 2, then it's a wash right there. They're done recruiting at that point. They've got the kids that they want to get, and then the closer that kid is to where they are, they like to recruit in their backyard because it gives them a beeline to other kids. And if they recruit in their backyard, then the kids that are going to come and see that kid play maybe are from that area. They know about this kid, and they can get more people in the stands too. So, and they get more fans, at least for those next 4 years that kid's there. But they will pull out of other areas. And I'm in California, and California is a big hotbed. If you can pull a kid from California and take them back east, that's a big deal for that school. That means they have reach. And then they can come in and get some other kids who can say, hey, listen, this kid came from California. If you can pull somebody from Florida, from Texas, these are states with big sports athletic programs, especially for the high school level, and big college programs. If you can pull somebody from one of those areas and you're in another area, it makes a big deal just to pull that kid in. So just think about, if a college coach can get you to come and you're coming from somewhere else and they can pull you, it makes a lot of sense for them too to do that. And now you can start recruiting from a wider range, which gives you a better chance than everybody fighting over the same group of kids, is what it was when my daughter was coming out. All the schools are fighting for the same, 15, 20, 25 kids. And then there's another level down below that. So I always thought that was really interesting. And then the school that she ended up going to was back east, but that coach went all out, promised me she would graduate. They really went to the mat for her. And so that made a big difference for us. Okay, so you got to get exposure at that point. And now what you want to be doing in your summer, as far as training is concerned, is now you're looking for a trainer to help you train on the position you're going to play at college. And this is the big difference here. You want to spend that summer, if you're going to do any kind of private training, and I would really get private training. So maybe you're playing forward I'm just doing basketball right now because that's the sport that my daughter did. So say you're playing forward, but you're not going to be that tall at the collegiate level. I mean, you're not that big. So you need to learn how to play guard. You need to be able to play out in space. You need to learn a different skill set. And so that's what you want to kind of go and start working on now, because you'll have the opportunity. In fact, you could have been doing that in your sophomore year, but you definitely want to do it in your junior year, because when you're going to play travel club, you need to have that travel club coach say, and you need to tell them, hey, I need to play at this position now because this is where I think I'm going to be playing at the collegiate level. Can you move me to that position? I don't want to play over here or wherever you had me before. And they should let you do that. If they don't, I would start looking for something else where they will allow you to do that, because that's kind of hurting you, or at least let you play some of the game in there. I know sometimes your skill set, the other kids also need to play in that position. Maybe you went through a travel club program with them for years. You guys always had your set positions, but you didn't grow anymore. And now you need to be in a position where I need to play this. It happens a lot in football when people go and do the 7-on-7 and those things in the summer, that they started at one position, but now they didn't get big enough to play that position. They're not going to be a linebacker. Now they may be a cornerback or something like that. So you need to make sure that you're moving and you're getting the skill set for what you're going to do at the collegiate level at that point. And then that's pretty much it. So those are things that, if I'm doing this, these are things I'm looking at year by year by year by year. And then you want to make sure, it's really important that you make sure you have some options in your back pocket. So don't just rely on the schools that are looking at you, right? You're going to get all those letters. We talked about that a little bit earlier. But use AthleticSOS. And I know I'm pushing a product that I have. It doesn't cost you any money to use it. It's absolutely no cost for you guys. So use it. Find the schools that fit you, and then reach out to them and let them know where you're going to be. Have your high school coach reach out on your behalf too and say, hey, Charles is going to be going into his junior year for the summer. These are the places they're going to be. Inside of AthleticSOS, there's also a place where you can send your profile, and in that profile, there's all the events you're going to be attending. So try to get your schedule really early and send that out to those college coaches. And then one of the other things that I think is really important right now is that you guys, Try to go to events where they're going to be filming it. There's no reason to go to an event that is not streaming anymore. If that person putting that event on is not streaming, then you guys need to get on their cases. Those college coaches from across the country can watch the full game if they're filming it, if they're streaming it. And even if they're not streaming it, if you guys are filming it, then you can load it up on our system and you can put that in so people can start watching it. And so anyway, so that's the whole overview of what I would do if I had a kid. Again, you don't have to listen to me, but have a plan for this summer. The most important thing is this summer is going to be the change that's coming for the NCAA, at least. It's September 1st. All the rules have changed. The other thing you want to make sure you've done is, if you're going into your junior year, your junior year to your senior year, or your sophomore year into your junior year, did you take all the courses that you're going to be required to have? Remember, they're going to go back to that 10-7 thing where you have to have those 16 core courses, right, to be able to participate in the NCAA and get an athletic scholarship offer. So you have to have these 16 core courses. You have to have 10 of those finished before you go into your senior year. So check with your counselor if you can. Make sure you've got all of those set up so that you can, if you needed to take a class during the summer, you can take it. One of the other things you could do is knock one of those core courses out. If you have time, and you want to take one extra class in math or science or English or something like that, and just get it out of the way, just in case something happens later on and it can cause you a problem. You want to go, if you want to do that. I know most of you guys are like, I'm not going to go take a class. I want to enjoy my summer. I get it. But if you can and you're willing to do it, go ahead and take an extra class right now, knock it out, get it out of the way, and it'll leave you some room, some wiggle room later on as you move forward. I would also say for the juniors and maybe even the sophomores, but for the juniors going to the senior year, get ready to take that SAT, ACT moving forward. I know the NCAA starting in September is not going to require the SAT, ACT to be eligible to get an athletic scholarship and to play your first year, and I know a lot of the colleges are saying they're not going to require it also, but that doesn't mean they don't take it. And it could be the difference between you getting an athletic scholarship and somebody else getting it. And we want to kind of be the type of person that goes, okay, I want to make sure I've covered everything. Why don't I just go ahead and do this? I can knock it out. It shows that you went the extra mile, and it makes a big difference in people's minds. I know everybody's saying, they don't worry about that. You're the most talented player, it doesn't matter. And you may be true, because if you're a talented player, then you're going to they're going to find a way to pull you some kind of way. And so those are all the things that I would be thinking about, and we're thinking about moving forward. And I'm making this video way too long. So go ahead and do all those things. And let me know down below for you guys. Go ahead and let me know what you would do. Put some stuff out for parents to think about. Some things that I may have missed. Some things that you did, like I talked about, and it didn't even work out. It didn't make a difference. Let people know what's going on and what your experience was, because I think that's what we want to kind of try to get around as we're doing this. Let's help each other out if you know something I don't know. And the other thing is the videos, something's going on here, and I tell you guys this every week, but I just had almost 500 people sign up and start using AthleticSOS. It just in the last 2 weeks. I have no idea. I don't see that many numbers on my videos, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. But thank you guys for that. And then I hope it's working out for you guys. If you're using AthleticSOS, leave me a message down there or write to us at info@AthleticSOS. Is there something there you don't see, something you think would be a great addition? Let us know about it, and we'll think about it if we can put that in and add it for you guys. As always, you guys, best of luck in all your endeavors. Let's put ourselves in a position to be the type of people in this world that are giving back as much as we're taking out of the world. And so we just want to be, I just can't tell you guys how much when you start to give, and it feels weird at first because sometimes you feel like you're a sucker, maybe you're doing too much. But when you start to give and you start to see the things that you're doing in the world impacting other people positively, I just can't tell you how good that feels. It just feels remarkable. And so I'm going to continue doing it. Software doesn't cost anything for you guys to use. I want you guys to start learning how to do your own research, and it's going to pay off later on in spades. And you guys are going to be able to show other people how to do this too. And then I can be out of the way and resting and retired and enjoying myself. All right, guys, as always, best of luck to you in all your endeavors, and we'll talk to you next week.